more light to penetrate the dust. For that, you can go into your directional light and search for volume. And here you have the volumetric scattering. So if you increase this really high to, let's say 50, it's going to bring so much more light into the dust. So I think maybe 3. And I also want to do something about these super black dark shadows. So for that, we can just create another light. So I'll just go to Create, Lights. Let's make a rectangular light. Maybe hit G so you can see where it is. Increase the intensity to maybe 500. Then E to rotate toward the black shadow area. Let's give it that sand color a little bit. And then start lowering the intensity. And then you need to go to Cast, search for Cast, and enable Cast Volumetric Shadow. And then search for Volume, and again increase the volumetric scattering to 3. And then you can grab your directional light and do Ctrl L, hold Ctrl, and then move your mouse to move the sun. And I just want to move the sun to the other side of the monster. Maybe make it a little bit of a sunset, so move the sun down. So I'll set my resolution to 400 and play it to look at what we have right now. So we're basically there. I would consider the simulation itself to be done. At this point, we can just work on how the scene looks. So I will go to Window, Quixel Bridge, and I will use this rippled sand texture. If you no longer have access to the Quixel Bridge assets for free, then if you go under Window, Fab, you can click on any Quixel asset and then click on the Quixel Creator. And here you can set the price to free. And then if you go under Materials and Textures, you can see all the different materials that are still free. So you can probably find some decent ground material here. For me, I'll use the rippled sand, but I want to set the quality to be highest quality and then add it because we want to do the nanite displacement for the ground. And so I want to open a second content browser. So under Window, Content Browser 2, and then you can go into your Witcher course, Materials, right click, Material, and call it m_sand ground. Open it up, and basically the easiest way to get nanite displaced material is just to create a new material from scratch using the Quixel textures. So I will just select the 3 textures that come with the sand material and drag them into my new material that I just created. So the first texture will go into base color. The normal map will go into normal. And then we need the displacement, but it's grayed out. So you can select the whole node of the material and search for tests. And you want to say enable tessellation. This will make displacement available to you. And then you have this texture, which actually has multiple textures inside of it, just under different color channels. And so the way to connect this is the red channel will go into your ambient occlusion. The green channel is your roughness. And the blue channel is actually your displacement. And then how much displacement you're gonna get, again, we need to select the material node and search for displacement. And here you have displacement magnitude. You can set it to about 5. That's what I did, and save. Now you can hide the Niagara system so it's not slow and distracting. If you apply the material to the ground right now, it's not gonna work because the geo needs to be nanite enabled. So with the floor selected, I'll do Ctrl B to navigate to the asset. And then you want to do Ctrl D to make another copy, which I already have here called Floor 1. So you can right click on that and then go to Nanite and make sure you check Nanite enabled. I will simply drag the floor copy into the scene, zero out the location, set the scale to 8, which is what the original had, and you can delete the original floor. And so now in our materials folder, I can simply apply our M sand ground that we just created, and it should load up. And now if you go down with your camera, you can see that it is actually displaced, which does make a huge visual difference to how it actually looks compared to it just being a flat texture. So if I enable our Niagara system again, It's starting to look pretty nice. Now I think that the sand is way too yellow compared to the texture. So what you can do actually is just detach the Niagara system, go to the render smoke color and click on this sample, and you can sample the color directly from the texture. It might be a bit too saturated again by default, so then just drag the saturation lower until you get that nice dusty color. So I'd say now it's matching pretty nicely, starting to look pretty good. The performance is a bit rough, but that's because I'm recording my screen in 2K. If I'm not recording my screen, it is much smoother, just so you guys know. But right now we can maybe just add some volumetric fog to this. So under exponential height fog, you can enable volumetric fog and set that to about 0.1, maybe 0.25 actually. And let's give the albedo a slight orangey desert color also to make everything blend together. And to make the framing a bit tighter, you can also go under camera settings and increase the focal length to kind of zoom in and then move the camera back. And this will give the illusion of the character being closer to the monster and also make the monster look even larger scale. Something like this. Be careful about the focus. She's slightly out of focus, so you can play with the focus distance until she is in focus. And final touches, you can also search for post, process volume, search for UNB and make it unbound, and then search for contrast and just give it a little bit of contrast, maybe 1.2. And then you can search for vignette and enable vignette and increase that. This will kind of darken the corners a little bit. In the trailer shot, I also added some Quixel rocks in the background. I will let you play with that and make the environment anything that you would like. Mainly just wanted to show you the Niagara fluids. So if I play this back, here we go. So this is your first complete Niagara fluid simulation with some nice turbulence, wind. We covered a lot in these last two videos, and I have another example for you in the next lesson. So I'll see you there.